We've got a fun episode for you today. Going to be talking some ecotourism, a little bit of pop nature pop. We got some pop culture references in there. And the song that you play during a bonfire. Chasing Wild podcast starts now. Welcome into the Chasing Wild podcast. We are your hosts, Jake Johnson, Dean Dudzik. Dean, how are we doing today?
I'm doing good. What about yourself, buddy?
Doing good, man. It's a good day. We got a little bit of touch of spring in the air, which is great. We've got some 50, 60 degree weather. It's good. Times are good right now. Excited to be here recording with you.
Yeah, likewise. This is our second episode at the start of the new year. So let's jump into it. I'm ready.
Yeah, episode 2, 2026, episode 13 in total. We are rolling. So let's jump into tourism. So we got some nature news, a new segment that we're introducing. Let's talk about the green fees. This is basically a small tax that some tourist destinations are adding to tourist fees. It's roughly about like 0.75% of a tax. So not a ton, but it's going directly into restoring wildlife habitats, things like reef restoration, or we got some climate adaptation. Hawaii was the first to do this in the United States. This comes after a 2023 wildfire that killed 102 people, so one of the worst in actually U.S. history. But basically, they introduced this green fee to, like I said earlier, wildfire recovery, reef restoration, and climate adaptation. So basically, I think this is something that a lot of places should have been doing already because there's such a footprint when people go to visit places across the world. And obviously ecotourism can be a huge positive for the local environment and everything there, but it also can be somewhat of a negative sometimes. But Hawaii was the first to do it in the US. Other places have done it, including Greece, Bali, the Maldives, New Zealand. And they're finding that people are not against the green fee. They don't mind paying it as long as they know directly what it's going to. So that's something that conservationists, these tourist destinations are looking into and looking to refine and get better and learn the market for that. But yeah, something that I think we should be doing anyways. We should be paying to go to the places that host the coolest places.
Yeah, and I think it's a great initiative because a lot of the problems this fee is trying to tackle is on a global scale. So a lot of it is related to climate change, for example. And an issue so big as that isn't something that can be addressed or solved on like such a small scale. Like not one country, not one state can solve that issue by itself. So having anybody who visits this country or state and contributes to this idea or this initiative is a great way of addressing it as like the entire planet, instead of just on such a micro scale.
And a great way to think about it is the Hawaii example that we're going over. It's generating 100 million annually. So
Right.
When you think about a 0.75% tax, it doesn't seem like a lot, but when you factor in how many people go to Hawaii a year, 100 million going to, all of those things for the climate is incredible. So
Yeah, I think it's great. And I think somebody was quoted saying, when you go on vacation costing hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, a few dollars contributing towards like the environment or preserving the area that you're visiting is a really small price to pay for most, and for some that might be more, but just a little bit goes a long way. And like you said, when so many people are dropping some coins into that pool, it just starts to fill up and it creates all this revenue to put towards good environmental causes. So
especially when you're going somewhere like Hawaii where you're going for the natural beauty, right? You're going to snorkel, You're going to see the volcanoes, you're going to explore the island and the pristine beaches. Well, that's part of it is keeping those places clean, keeping pollution out, making sure that the reefs are protected, all those things. So it makes sense.
And it could be seen as like a positive feedback loop where, like you just said, that money goes towards keeping everything pristine, keeping it clean. that in the long term, it should attract more people and more
Yeah,
revenue. So it should hopefully be sort of a win-win situation for everybody involved in the long term. So
a
yeah, I
true
think
give
it's
and
a great
take,
piece of news. Yeah.
100%. And so we're talking about tourism, ecotourism. What is ecotourism? The definition is it's responsible travel to natural areas that conserve the environment, sustains the well-being of local people, and involves education and interpretation. It generates $200 billion annually, every year, $200 billion a year, which is crazy when you think about how much that is. But it goes to fund things like national parks, endangered species. It boosts local economies, aka it's creating jobs. It's creating guiding jobs, it's creating revenue for people who own shops and sell art and crafts. Speaking on arts and crafts, it is cultural preservation. People who go places. I have a new piece of artwork that I'm excited to put up in the studio here. That is from my Tanzania trip that I finally got in a nice frame, and I'm going to be putting it up. But yeah, when you go places like that, you want to get something from the local people, the authentic art, and it is environmental education. So people are going across the world and learning things about different places. So there's a lot of pros to it, generates a lot of revenue, but there are some negatives like we're talking about. Wildlife disruption is a huge one. I think we're seeing that as there's more and more people on this planet, even going to places like Yellowstone. They get so busy and you can be backed up in lines for hours. People don't always treat wildlife the way they should. It's unfortunate, and that's just kind of something that we've got to battle and figure out. Environmental degradation, so you can get soil erosion, pollution, waste, things like that if they're not managed properly. Greenwashing and exploitation, which is the most frustrating to me because that's, people trying to take advantage of the fact that they're saying they're environmentally conscious or that they're, showing you these animals. If they're not practicing what they're preaching, that can be a, kind of a catch-22, and they're not doing the right things for the, the local environment. And then carbon footprint flights, which is the one that I'm willing to get over because it is what it is. We're going to have to, if you're going to fly somewhere until we get some kind of better system, renewable energy up in the air in flights, it is what it is. So
Yeah, for sure. There are always trade-offs. And like you mentioned, taking care when you go to these places and being aware is super important. Like here, we see this in the States all the time with Yellowstone. Like you mentioned, people being careless around wildlife. And ultimately, that can put the wildlife in danger as well. It's not just people. If an animal is known to be in conflict with humans, that can put their life at risk. It can be relocated. It can be killed in some instances, unfortunately. So it's really important that people are aware when they're visiting these spots. And in some places around the world, they don't allow people necessarily to walk around on their own. I remember when I was in Peru last winter for my trip in the Amazon. We weren't allowed to just like walk willy-nilly around the forest. We had to be with our guide at all times if we were to go outside like the premises. So some places do take the sort of initiative to look after the surrounding area by keeping a close eye on people because unfortunately, like you said, not everybody can be trusted to act responsibly. Yeah, there are a lot of trade-offs, but obviously we're a big proponent of this idea of ecotourism because as long as it's done right, I think there's huge benefit in it. And I think ultimately something that we resort back to is, it's hard to care about something if you're not aware of it or you don't understand it or you don't experience it. And that's always something that we kind of think about here on the podcast. And I think that's one of the big advantages of ecotourism is it exposes you to places that, you sit in your house the rest of your life, you'll never be exposed to, and you thus probably are not going to care about it. So I think it's great
100%.
overall, but there are a lot of trade-offs that, we could talk about for hours and hours, but we just want to preview a few of those here just to get everybody thinking,
And there's two things that you can do as a responsible tourist, right? One, don't touch the bison. If you go to Yellowstone,
Right.
don't touch the bison. Don't touch the wildlife. Don't interact with the wildlife. Let them be wild. They're there. This is their home. You're a visitor. You get to experience and enjoy and see them. That's it. Just enjoy it. So be a responsible traveler. And then the second is when you are looking into traveling somewhere, do your research. Find somewhere that is going to be authentic. It's going to give you an authentic experience. It's going to provide money for the community. It's going to have an environmentally conscious ethic to them, all those things. And watch out for greenwashing, because that's a big one. With a new field like the environmental field, not new, but relatively new in the spotlight, a lot of companies are trying to take advantage of the fact that they're environmentally conscious. So watch for that. But let's jump into the big topic of the day. So like I said, pop nature, nature pop. The reason I like this segment and I like to think about this is because the natural world and pop culture cross over much more than we think. And I think that it's important that we recognize that and we realize how much things like movies, music, video games, celebrities can influence where we travel, the things that we care about, things that we're looking forward to. So we created a bit of a, like last week we did our adventure profile. Think of this as like your pop culture profile. So we're going to be going over our 3 pillars here at Chasing Wild, our conservation, wildlife, and adventure. So we're going to pick one movie for each pillar, one movie, song, video game, and celebrity for each pillar. So 12 individual things to choose from. And why don't we start with you, Dean? So we're going to start with movies. Can you give me your 3 movies? We'll start with wildlife. Let's start with wildlife.
Okay. My wildlife movie pop culture reference is Jungle Book, the animated Disney version. I chose Jungle Book because, like, as a sort of Disney kid growing up, obviously it's a very popular film. And it obviously showcases all sorts of wildlife. And I just have like a lot of nostalgia from that movie, obviously. I'm a big like snake guy. So Kaa is always like a character from Jungle Book I revert back to. So as a young kid, that's just a great movie to sort of spark your interest in wildlife. So I went with Jungle Book for my wildlife movie.
Well, it makes perfect sense. My parents told me that when I was a kid. So I had some regrets last week when we talked about our mammal and our spirit animal, because I didn't choose the leopard, the melanistic leopard, aka a black panther. Again, not a species, but I was kind of sad I didn't go with that, because when I was a kid, the first movie that I really got into was Jungle Book for Bagheera and for Baloo and just that story. So Jungle Book's a great one. Let's go into adventure. What's next?
My adventure movie is Indiana Jones.
Nice. I'm so happy you said that, because we have not gone over any of ours, and I was teetering on that movie. But go ahead.
Yeah, Indiana Jones is one of my favorite movies / movie series of all time, probably top 3. And I mean, it's about Indiana Jones going on adventures as an archaeologist and going to these crazy exotic parts of the world. I would love to be Indiana Jones. So yeah, it's all about adventure. It's all about discovering things, meeting new cultures, crazy adventures. So that was an easy one. Indiana Jones is my adventure movie.
We share a theme with our adventure movie. I will say it after I say mine, but there's a specific theme that we share. All right, let's go to conservation, which can be a harder one.
Yeah, this one was a little bit trickier because it's such a niche thing. And I kind of tweaked the categories a little bit. I went with a documentary instead of a movie.
Okay. Cheater.
Yeah, I'm cheating. I know. But it's also our podcast, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we
you do
make
you,
our
man.
rules. So I went with, I don't know if you've seen this. I might have talked to you about it. It's a documentary on Netflix called Virunga.
I have not.
It's a documentary that is about Virunga National Park. I think it straddles like the borders between Uganda and DRC. People can fact check me on that. But it follows along the park rangers of Virunga National Park. And it shows all like the trials and tribulations they go through to protect the mountain gorilla population. Mountain gorillas are critically endangered, at least last time I checked, but I'm sure they still are. And they have boots on the ground in the form of the rangers there that literally put their lives on the line to protect these gorillas. And at the time of this filming, I think again it was in DRC, they fell back into another civil conflict, like a civil war. And as the conflict approached the park, the rangers were out there like armed and ready to protect the park because unfortunately, sometimes when these civil conflicts break out, you have like guerrilla fighters and stuff that'll enter the forest to hide, to set up, to set attacks on other fighters. And along the way, unfortunately, they'll be killing guerrillas, which it did happen throughout the documentary. And another sad part, and this is kind of an indirect effect, is as the fighting was going on, Jake, you'll know this because you work with guerrillas. They can be prone to like stress from outside factors. And unfortunately, as this conflict got more and more intense, the rescue guerrillas that they had in their facility on park grounds, a lot of them started to fall sick because of the stress of this conflict, and they actually lost some guerrillas during the course of this fighting. And I mean, I cried during it. I don't like cry easily during movies, shows, or whatnot. It was really, really hard to watch, but it's a great, great documentary. I recommend it to anybody that's like interested in wildlife documentaries or conservation. It's a huge credit to people out there like those rangers that really, really like those guys put their lives on the line, those men and women out there to protect those places and those animals. So for those reasons, I kind of tweaked the rules and I went with a documentary instead of a movie, but I did it with good reason. It's a really, really good one. So it's called Virunga.
There's something about watching an innocent animal suffer at the cause of humans, which is just they have nothing to do with, they want no part of, and just watching them suffer, die, stress, anything. It's really sad, and it pulls at the heartstrings. So completely understandable. And so I'll go backwards. I'll start with conservation because one of the things that you're talking about with the Democratic Republic of Congo is conflict diamonds or blood diamonds, which the conservation movie for me is Blood Diamond. Came out in 2006, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Jimon Hansu. I'm pronouncing that wrong probably, and Jennifer Connelly. Long story short, it's all about the blood diamond, conflict diamonds, and Leo is realizing that the hardships and the struggles that people in these places have to go through because of the civil unrest that it creates. So millions and millions of people have been killed because of blood diamonds. Basically what happens is the diamonds fuel the revenue for rebels in the area to basically force labor and create these strip mines just going for diamonds and other minerals. And it's a huge social, obviously, catastrophe because people are being enslaved and they're being, these wars are starting, civil wars in Sierra Leone, Democratic Republic of Congo.
Like across equatorial Africa.
Yes. And they're enslaving children. They're making them into soldiers. Highly recommend anyone see Blood Diamond, but it also creates a huge environmental impact because they're going through these areas and just cutting down the forest to strip mine, to look for these diamonds. They're leaving a lot of pollution. They have these heavy machinery that's causing pollution in the air. So Blood Diamond, huge problem, and led to the 2003 establishment of the Kimberley process, which basically certifies the country of origin of the diamonds that you're getting and prevents illicit sales of the stones. So what you can do as a responsible buyer is, I think the biggest thing is there's lab-grown diamonds now. They're 100% the same. Scientists were able to engineer the way the earth creates diamonds, and they create them in a lab. They're cheaper, and if someone was to, dissect them, they're the exact same makeup as a diamond. So buying lab-grown diamonds, and then just making sure that if you are going to buy a real diamond, wherever it's from, it's really hard to know because they still fudge it, but sustainably sourced. So
yeah, that's a good one. I've heard of Blood Diamond. I haven't seen it yet, but
that's another movie that you watch, and you just watch Solomon Vandy, his kid get ripped from him to join the war, and you watch him going through this hardship, and they're escaping literal civil war in their country of Sierra Leone. It's awful. It's horrible, and that's why Leonardo DiCaprio's character kind of changes heart, and then there's a it's a good story. I won't spoil it, but watch
Yeah.
Blood Diamond.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, so we have your conservation movie. Let's move over to your adventure movie.
Jurassic Park. I mean, so the
Yeah.
theme that we share is John Williams is the greatest composer of
Yep.
all time for adventure movies. I mean,
Yep.
you think about Indiana Jones, Jurassic
Star
Park,
Wars.
Star Wars, Harry Potter, E.T., Jaws. Like you've just got so many iconic adventure movies.
Yep.
But yeah, I had to go Jurassic Park. When you get to that moment where they're sitting in the van and um, they look up and the Brachiosaurus or whatever long neck it is looks up and does the call. I mean, Jurassic Park is the ultimate adventure, and I remember watching it when I was young and being terrified, and it still holds up to this day. So Steven Spielberg, 1993, Jurassic Park.
That's a good one. Let's move on to wildlife movie.
I went, so I could have gone Disney for any of these categories because I feel like there's a ton of Disney. I mean, I could have gone Lion King easily. Um, but I went a 1996, The Ghost in the Darkness. I remember my dad showed me this movie, and it's all about the lions of Tsavo. Are you familiar?
Just from Field Museum, right? They have.
They are there at the Field
Yep.
Museum. Those are the same
Yep.
lions. 1996, it stars Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas. But basically, the lions of Tsavo were two male maneless lions that started attacking humans who were working on a railway back in 1898.
Yeah.
So they were building a train, a railway through somewhere in Africa, not exactly, oh, Tsavo, obviously.
Right.
And they started to attack humans, which, if you think about instances in wildlife where humans are attacked by predator species, it's not very often. Like, you don't have a shark killing a bunch of people, kind of like Jaws. Lions of Tsavo, it is a real story. These two lions killed. Scientists have been able to find now that it was roughly 35 people. Now, when the records were accounted back in the day, they said like 140 or something like that. So the story was bigger than they've come to find now. But basically, these lions were killing a bunch of the workers at night, stealing them from their camps, and eating them. And they kind of found that basically it was one of two things that could have been going on. So one, they both were suffering from some sort of huge like jaw fracture. So no telling what caused it, but humans are a lot softer than, let's say, buffalo or zebra or wildebeest and things like that.
Hmm.
So that could have been one of the reasons. And then the other reason, which is a pretty likely reason, is lions now in Tsavo eat a lot of buffalo. And back then, buffalo were basically 90% of all the buffalo and cattle were killed off by this rinderpest disease, which was a
Mm.
huge infection that came from when they moved cattle over there in Tsavo. So killed a lot of their natural prey, and they started to eat things like humans. But they are at the Field Museum. They've been there since, I believe, 1925. Really good movie, though. It's a little old now, so it seems kind of cheesy, but it's really good. But the biggest difference in the movie is that they have maned lions, and these lions were male unmaned, so no mane.
Yeah, really interesting. I
Have you
like
seen
I
it or
said-
no? You haven't seen it?
No, no, I haven't seen it. I'm just familiar from Field Museum, but I got to check it out.
And if I had to pick a movie that encompasses all these themes really well, it would be Avatar, because it's got a little bit of a
Yeah.
flavor of all of them, which was high on Maddie, my wife's list. So
Yeah, I almost put Avatar for any of them
you can
as
choose
well.
any of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
I've tried not to. So, all right, so we checked all of our movie boxes.
Hmm.
Let's move on to music category. So this could be like a song or soundtrack. Jake, I'll put it over to you. Let's start with adventure. What music, soundtrack, song encompasses adventure, pop culture?
So I could have gone any John Williams score, and I thought about
Yep.
doing Raiders March from Indiana Jones, because that is one of my biggest adventure songs, but wanted to go somewhere different. Went the intro by XX. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but to me
No.
it gives a very snowy kind of skiing adventure vibe to it. So highly recommend the intro by XX.
Okay. Let's do your conservation song soundtrack.
So I went something that doesn't feature a ton, but it's very subtly referenced by, and it's a very popular song by a popular artist. So Childish Gambino, Feels Like Summer. There are references to how basically there's more and more people on this planet and how the planet is heating up and just kind of how it always feels like summer. Excellent song, great pop culture song. And I love the fact that he references those themes in there because that's somewhere you could hear on the radio or something like that, not just more like the niche conservation community.
Yeah, that's great. Let's go over to wildlife music.
Africa by Toto.
Yeah.
So funny story. When I went to Tanzania, I had definitely heard Africa by Toto, somewhere, but I never really saved it on Spotify or anything like that. In 2017, I was going to Africa, and someone was like, "Oh, Africa by Toto." So I saved it, and the first time I really got into the song was on the plane there, and while I was there for
Nice.
3.5 months. So that song just cemented my trip where I saw the most wildlife I've ever seen. So it has to be Africa by Toto.
I also find I connect with certain songs on the plane going to places as well.
It sets the tone. Like
Yeah,
you get ready.
that's a good way to describe it. So that's a good story behind that one. Let's
All right, no, it's your turn now. Yeah,
Yep,
up to
my
you.
turn. I almost skipped over my own category.
No, sir.
All right.
All right, so adventure. Give me your adventure song. And hold on real quick before you give your adventure
Yep.
song. Again, would love to have people jump in the comments. Don't have to
Yeah.
go through all of them, but give us one of your songs, movies, celebrities, video games, whatever it is, something that makes you feel like you want to be invested in the outdoors or nature, because that's what this
Yeah.
is all about.
Absolutely. Yeah. Please get involved, or even if you don't comment something, just maybe think along while we're going through these.
Yeah.
So my adventure, I went with a soundtrack for this one. It's going to be the Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack.
Yep.
So that one.
Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer. Yep.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like that one's pretty self-explanatory. It's just like a kind of adrenaline-filled soundtrack and theme. It's awesome. It's one of my favorite soundtracks, period. Never mind adventure, but I think it really embodies the spirit of adventure, and it gets me super pumped to, tackle some adventure or trip or experience. So yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack.
100%. That's right up there with any John Williams soundtrack of just this is an adventure. Buckle up. You're about to go on it.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
All right. Give me conservation.
Conservation, I went with another soundtrack. And this is where the Avatar comes in. So I went with the Avatar theme. I really tried hard to come up with something new because I know I mentioned the Avatar theme in last episode, but there's just something about it, and the premise of Avatar, and we talked about trying not to choose Avatar for our movie category, is it has all of those elements, the adventure, the wildlife, and the conservation. That's a huge theme throughout Avatar.
Yep.
Obviously it's fictional, but it's a very intentional and clear theme that they put into that movie. So yeah, when I hear the Avatar soundtrack, obviously it's takes you to a different world. You can picture the scenery in your head, the huge forests, all the really special wildlife. And for those reasons, I put Avatar as my conservation soundtrack.
Yeah, I mean, that's spot on. I love it. I tried to make it hard for myself and not do anything animated or soundtrack because I can go down those paths super easy, but on par for sure. That's great.
Yeah.
All right. And then we got wildlife.
Yeah, so this is where I did something super niche. One of my favorite bands, I listen to a lot of metal and some instrumental music as well. So this is from one of my favorite bands called Animals as Leaders, which, a little side note, Jake and I have tried to we've thought about how to include this into an episode, but my favorite book is called Ishmael,
Mm-hmm.
and Jake and I will talk about it in some form, like at some
Yes,
point, maybe like a
certainly.
little segment or maybe like a little book segment. I think that's a great idea. We could
Yeah.
talk about like books as a form of media.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
Noted.
yeah, we'll do that. That's a good one. Anyway, this band Animals as Leaders, they got the inspiration to name their band from Ishmael, which
Oh.
I won't like go into it too much, but the idea being that like even us humans, we're also animals, and it's also our duty to kind of take part in this world and not destroy it in a way. That's kind of like the basic premise of the story. That's where the band gets their name. So I
Do you
love
have the
yeah,
exact Ishmael quote where it's like, without humans, will gorilla survive? Is that it?
yeah, yeah, I don't have it off the top of my head, but
All right,
that's
I'm looking it up.
I know what you're talking about, obviously.
It just kind of gives the premise: with gorilla gone, will there be hope for man?
Yeah.
And you can look at that either way,
Yep.
and that's the theme of the book without going too deep into it.
Yeah, so just a little preview of that book. And that's where this band gets the inspiration for their name from. And I just happen to really like the band too, which is kind of fitting. Anyway, the title of the song is called Behaving Badly. Like I said, it's an instrumental song. And almost everybody listening is not going to know this name of the song, which is fine. If you want to look it up, that's great. But like the beginning is just really like ethereal is how I'd describe it.
Mm.
Kind of like Avatar in a way, but like super ethereal and thematic is how I'd describe it. And then I just looked it up quickly. On YouTube, there is a version with lyrics. I'm gonna totally butcher this name, but the guitarist is Tosin Abasi, and the vocalist is her name's Kalela Mizan Christos. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, but she does add really cool lyrics onto the song. And towards the end, when it goes back to really ethereal sound, she includes like this traveling through the Amazon lyric over and over again. And it's like super ethereal. And it always like, it brings me back to when I was there, and then also wanting to go there my whole life ever since I heard the version of this song. So if anybody's interested, it's Behaving Badly by Animals as Leaders, and there's a version on YouTube with lyrics over it, and I think it adds like an extra element to it and reminds me of like the Amazon, for example. So that's my music pick.
I'm interested. I'm gonna listen to
Yeah.
it
I'll send
right
you
after.
I'll send you this exact version too. So
I love like a wispy, ethereal kind of vibe to certain songs.
yeah.
Like an Enya from like Lord of the Rings, May It Be. Is that at all like ethereal, wispy there?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Kinda.
would say so. Yep.
All right, cool. All right, what's next? What do we got?
So we just did our movies and our music sections. We're going to move down to video games. So,
Hmm.
Jake, what video game have you played that reminds you of adventure?
Are you a gamer, Dean?
Yeah. I am.
Yeah. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
less of a gamer now that I'm a
Same.
father and
Yeah.
life is busy, but used to be a
Yeah.
huge gamer. So, my adventure game is Skyrim. I remember playing it back
Nice.
in my parents' basement, and still to this day, we'll go back and play it. It holds up. Um, I love the aspect of just like going out in this ginormous world and being able to explore anything. You can go into caves, you can go into mountains, you can fight dragons, you can find bears and deer and wolves, and I love the adventure aspect to it. And just like any good adventure, shout out to John Williams, Hans Zimmer, you need a good soundtrack, and it has an excellent soundtrack. So, gonna go with Skyrim.
Yeah, that's a good one. I've dabbled a little bit in Skyrim.
Dabble
I never
more.
got into it, but I can definitely see why that would evoke adventure. You
Mhm.
could, yeah, it's a huge world. You can do a lot in it, so totally
Big
makes
time.
sense.
It's a huge world, and it's from
Yeah.
like 2011. Like it's old. It's
Yeah,
old,
people
old.
still play it like crazy to
I
this
still
day.
play it. It's one of the ones
Yeah,
that I go back to.
yeah, for sure. All right, so let's do conservation video game. This one's kind of difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I
Very
had to
difficult.
really think about this one, so I was curious to see what you came up with.
I did too, and I had one that popped in my head right away that I ended up going with Minecraft. And
Hmm.
the biggest reason, so Skyrim and Minecraft are like my yin and yang. Those are my two that I go back to all the time.
Okay.
Um, I think when I play Minecraft, I see why the world or how the world has become what it has become, right? I start chopping down trees and I'm like, I want to build this giant house or this castle or this extremely extravagant base, whatever it is. And therefore, I need to cut down the forest. I need to level everything. I maybe need to get rid of the little river that's running through it. And then I
Mm,
create this
mm,
giant mass of a structure right in the middle of it. And then I built a town. And as I've gotten older, I've started to really realize I'm like, this is what we do. This is
yeah.
what humans do. Like we want houses, we want bigger houses, we want more houses, we have more people. So we cut things down and we grow out and we expand until there's little and less natural spaces. So I really, it's not a conservation themed game, but I
Mm,
feel a lot of, so like now I've gone to like trying to make more eco houses and like planting more trees around where I grow when I destroy them, which you
yeah.
have to do. So Minecraft, which is probably not what people were thinking.
That's for sure the most creative answer so far. When you said Minecraft, I didn't know exactly where you're coming from right off the bat. But once you started saying, I want to build this and I want to build that and look at all these trees around, I knew exactly where you were going with that. And
Let
I
me
think
go
that's
mine for
brilliant.
diamonds. We're going back to blood diamond. Let me go get some diamonds,
Yeah.
like, and just destroy the mine. It's just, it is what it is.
I think that's a great like metaphor or analogy for the real world, however you want to look at it. I think that's a brilliant answer. I
Yep.
was not so creative with mine. So let's go over to a wildlife video game.
Zoo Tycoon. I was a huge Zoo Tycoon kid I was a huge Zoo Tycoon gamer as a kid. I would fake sick from school. Not feeling good, mom, to go play Zoo Tycoon in the room. You go to shift 4, you got unlimited money. But no, I played a ton of Zoo Tycoon, would build zoos and just loved all the different animals you could unlock and get to see them and put them in habitats. So if we're not
Yeah.
going to consider that wildlife though, I'm going to go Pokemon because also have played Pokemon since I was a kid through most of the
Yeah.
generations, not as much anymore, but and going out and kind of exploring a world and finding different species and not battling them in real life, but that kind of gist to it. So, but Zoo Tycoon is my like has my heart.
Yeah, I never played that one. I played Skyrim and Minecraft, but I haven't played that game.
You haven't played
So
Zoo Tycoon
no,
and you're a zookeeper?
no, I haven't.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah, I missed that ship.
All right. Well, if you have not, let's go into your wildlife. What's yours?
My wildlife. This one was hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not sort of like a video game in the sense it's um kind of like a mobile sort of game, and I don't even remember what it's called, but it's basically it used to be a website that you would make an account, and it was like a video game for snake breeders. So you would it's like breeding ball pythons and stuff and making all these morphs, which I'm not into. But anyway, you would like have your snakes and you would breed them together, and you would like incubate the clutches, and it would show you how many eggs were in the clutch, and then you would see that outcome when they would hatch. And as somebody who was like still is a big nerd about snakes and snake breeding and stuff like that, that had a big impact on me when I was young. So like I said, I don't even think this website exists anymore. I don't even remember what it was called, but it was some snake breeding website that was on the internet years ago that I used to play. So
Love it. Off the
that was
grid
mine.
there. You went off the grid.
Yeah, really off the grid.
Going deeper into Dean's affection with snakes. Um,
Yeah.
all right, let's go conservation.
Conservation. I went with the Jurassic World game. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Which one?
I think there's a sequel. I think it's like the newer one. I looked it up. Just
Evolution.
yeah, Evolution, exactly.
Yeah,
That one.
it's Dinosaur Zoo Tycoon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jurassic World Evolution, right? Did I get that right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously, as you can tell, I didn't play that game very much, but I did play a little bit of it, and I included it in my conservation because again, it's the zoo version of Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, and you're managing your own dinosaur park slash zoo, and I think there's like a lot of science involved in it, as the name suggests. So being in the zoo world, there's quite a bit of science that goes into managing zoos and like managing the populations and the species within zoos. So there's a lot of relevant application there. But yeah, I went with Jurassic World Evolution as my conservation video game.
Big time. I mean, there's three of them now, and the third one has even more conservation messaging through it.
Yeah,
A great series. It's a Dinosaur Zoo Tycoon. It's great. I love tycoon games like that, like just getting to build your own zoo. But
yeah,
and your adventure game.
yep. My adventure game is Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Yeah, that's a
Did
good
you
one.
play it?
I've played Assassin's Creed. I don't think I've played. No, I have not played Black Flag.
Yeah, it was my first Assassin's Creed. For those who aren't familiar, it's the pirates version of Assassin's Creed. So you captain your own ship and your own crew, and you can sail across, the whole world, and you visit all sorts of real life islands and destinations. So like you're sailing to Nassau in the Bahamas, and Havana, all these places that they make realistic renditions of in the game. So it is honestly like sailing the world, like a whole world round trip in a video game, as you're sailing across the seas. So I love that, and it really embodied adventure for me, and it's one of my favorite games ever. So yeah, Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Nice games where you can
Yep.
go explore
Yeah,
vast areas, especially of the real world, where you get to see like you said, the Bahamas and stuff like that.
yeah,
So fun because you feel like you get to experience it, even though you're
exactly.
not really experiencing it.
Yep, yep. So that rounds out our video game category. Our last category is celebrities. So
We're definitely gonna have a repeat
yeah,
here. There's
there's
got to
one
be
shoe in
one.
here, which if we both don't have it, then I would be shocked. So let's start with your adventure celebrity.
I went Bear Grylls.
I thought of him. I
Yeah.
didn't do it, but I thought of him.
Um. You know. Let's see. You got where's my English Irish adventurer survival expert. You've got Man versus Wild, The Island, and the one that most people are familiar with, Running Wild with Bear Grylls. He served in the British Special Air Service for 3 years, climbed Mount Everest at 23, which at the time was the youngest ever, and it was after he
Wow.
had broke his back. But he's just a survival expert, and if you watch his shows, Running Wild with Bear Grylls, he has celebrities on there, and they'll go. They like I watched an episode with Natalie Portman, and he's taking her across these places in the desert, and it's just cool to see the skills that people have. But yeah, he's an excellent adventurer and survival expert. So I went Bear Grylls.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought of him, and
Yeah,
all those survival skills is something that I want to continue to get better at as I get older,
definitely.
because I'm a lifelong outdoorsman, but I'm certainly not a survivalist. And there are so many skills that I want to develop just here and there to be self-sufficient, because you never know, what could happen. And I think it's just something really cool to hang on to, something that our grandparents and people before them probably were a lot more sufficient, or,
In tune with.
just a lot more effective with.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool, and survivalist guys are awesome. So all
This
right,
is why I'm gonna put Addie, our daughter, as long as she, wants to. I'm not gonna force her into anything, but I want to have her in scouts. And
yeah,
not like the scouts where you go sell cookies and stuff like that, but like scouts where you go out and you tie knots and you learn how to build a fire and you get badges and
yeah.
stuff like that. So like Doug or is it Doug? No, the kid from Up. My gosh, I'm blanking on his name.
Oh, Russell, Russ,
Russell. Yeah,
Russell.
yeah, Russell. like a scout, like that, like those skills. But that was something that I wish I had gotten into younger that I never did. And there's a lot of
For
cool
sure.
things you can learn. So, Bear
Yeah.
Grylls,
All right. Let's do your conservation celebrity.
the goat, the true goat, the one goat, Sir David Attenborough. Um,
Okay.
he is the man. He has traveled the world and done documentary filmmaking for over 8 decades. That's 80 plus years. He's 90. Is he 99 now? He's 98 or 99. He's almost 100.
Yeah.
He's been around forever. Fun fact, his brother, Richard Attenborough, I believe, is the guy who
I think
says,
so.
"Welcome to Jurassic Park." He's that guy. That is his brother.
Yeah.
But British broadcaster, biologist, documented the natural world over 8 decades, like I said. Planet Earth, Blue Planet, Our Planet, revolutionized natural history television. I mean, if you've ever seen a nature documentary, you've definitely seen David Attenborough, Sir David Attenborough. He's been knighted twice. Like he's an ultimate legend and kind of, in my opinion, like the grandfather of conservation and wildlife. So he could embody all three.
Yeah. And I'm glad I didn't put him because I wanted to so bad, but I was trying to think
Yeah.
of somebody else. But I think David Attenborough is a great answer because he has reached such a massive audience with his work, and it's in some ways a bigger impact than maybe what somebody's doing at a more micro or specific scale, which is really important too. And all that work needs to be done no matter what. But the work that he's done has reached people in their homes around the world. And I think that's why what we're doing, putting this podcast out digitally, and then all these documentaries, and just having this in our daily life, in our
Yeah.
pop culture, in our general media is so, so vitally important. And David Attenborough has been reaching out to the global audience for decades, like you said. So,
I mean, he was
great
younger than
answer.
both of us right now when he went out and set out to like cross the world and start basically just finding species. And in some of his
Yeah.
newest documentaries, I think A Life on Our Planet specifically, he talks about the changes he's seen over the
Mhm.
8 decades, 80 years that he's been doing this. So,
For sure.
an impressive man. He had to be talked about. And I honestly, I want to have a whole series where we talk about like legends, like conservation legends. Jane Goodall would be one.
Mhm.
But Sir David Attenborough is at the top of my list.
Absolutely. Can't go wrong with him. And lastly, your wildlife celebrity.
I had two in case you chose the one. So I went Robert Irwin. I didn't go Steve
Okay.
because I went current, so alive. Obviously, I would have gone Steve Irwin, but his son Robert, for just many of the same reasons, just being able to connect with so many people. You talk about celebrities that are really taking over right now. I mean, he's everywhere. He was on Dancing with the Stars. He was just at the Super Bowl. His social media is just crazy, but he cares passionately about wildlife and wild animals and just exploring and seeing them. So Robert Irwin is mine. And if it wasn't, I would have gone Jane Goodall for her impact in, being able to do the research she was in chimps, not just for researchers, but women in research. One of the first females to do significant wildlife research like that. So she's a pioneer as well as, these other people we're talking about.
And for Robert Irwin, did I hear correctly that this might be speculation, but part of the reason why he's doing Dancing with the Stars and all these media outlets is to help gain funds for Australia Zoo? Am
It
I
would,
just,
I mean, it makes
know,
sense. I was thinking
yeah,
about it the other day when I was watching the Super Bowl, and I'm like, dude, there's Robert Irwin.
yeah,
It doesn't hurt to be bigger and bigger, and he's got that like Ted Lasso energy where he just goes with the smile and enthusiasm. He's just always
yeah,
positive. So for him to go out there and expand his reach and just meet more people and be in more circles, that football, Dancing with the Stars, like all those places,
yeah,
it brings attention to nature and wildlife. And one of my
absolutely.
buddies just went on his honeymoon. He was at the Australia Zoo and sent me a video. I got to show you it. He went to the Crocodile, Chase Halter.
I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
going
going.
there.
You're going. He went to the Crocoseum though. It was Chase Halter. We had him on our episode talking about
Oh, nice.
yeah, fishing. So
Yeah, I remember Chase.
all right,
That's awesome.
and then we'll go backwards for yours. So we'll go back to wildlife.
Steve Irwin,
Yeah,
easy.
yeah. I
I knew he.
knew one of us would choose it, so I went Robert.
Yeah, I just like even if you put him down, I had to put him down regardless as one of the three. So I put him down for wildlife because his enthusiasm for wildlife
Yeah,
is he like for me he's like the face, the voice, the heart of wildlife when I think of wildlife
and why we
as a
care.
figure.
Yeah,
Exactly. His enthusiasm, nobody will ever come close for his enthusiasm for wildlife. So he was a shoo-in for me, and he's a huge, huge impact on why I'm so passionate about wildlife to this day. I really don't think that I would care so much about wildlife if it wasn't for Steve Irwin. So he was
yeah.
a really easy answer for wildlife.
Same. My hometown zoo, which is where I work at, and Steve Irwin and my parents are the reason that I got into wildlife. So, for more
sure.
on Steve Irwin, go listen to our second episode on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, conservation. Conservation. We'll end on adventure.
Conservation, you mentioned her, but I went Jaden Goodall.
Yeah,
And
perfect.
for many reasons, you already mentioned some of them. One of the things that came to mind when I thought of her was, that she really did hardcore conservation work, like in the field, actual research. And I think sometimes people like that don't get the shine they deserve. And obviously Jane Goodall is a huge figure, but part of the reason I chose her is to represent like those researchers that are doing it out of like interest and passion. And they're not trying to become celebrities or anything like that. And I'm sure it was the case with Jane Goodall as well. She really just did it because of her passion for conservation and the animals. And I think she's a great representation of conservationists, around the world and for future generations, that she, like I said, did it not for the spotlight, but because she really did care. And she did so much conservation with obviously chimpanzees, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but the Gombe rainforest.
I think it's
in
Ngombe.
Africa. Yep. So, yeah, there are preserves that were designated because of her, research stations in that area.
To preserve a species, you have to understand a species, and our closest living relative are chimpanzees. We are biologically over 98% shared DNA with chimpanzees, and she got to do some of the most dynamic research on them that anyone ever has. She has, and not just that, but like she got into chimps because she was interested in them, and that's where she was able to go. But like she had a master class. I listened to her master class, and she talks about being a kid watching chickens at like 3 years old, and just the curiosity for nature and wildlife, and how that really nurtured and kind of went into what she wanted to do. So Jane Goodall's a great answer. All right.
And just one more thing, like you mentioned with David Attenborough, somebody that from a young age, especially being a woman at that time, really took a chance to, a huge risk going out there, relocating to Africa and pursuing her passion. I'm sure not having any idea what it would lead to. So I think a lot of credit is due there as well. So
yeah, she was like kind of welcomed into a chimp troop too. Just you gotta hear her story. It's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Adventure. Your adventure celebrity.
This is a little bit different from the theme of the other celebrities we've been talking about, because not super focused in conservation or wildlife, but we talk about adventure and also culture a lot on our podcast.
Yep.
And a big role model for me when it comes to adventure and culture is Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah, we just talked about him on last episode.
Yep. Originally a chef and from the culinary world, but he started to become involved in travel and culture, and he has shows like Parts Unknown, No Reservations, which I highly recommend anybody that's interested in like seeing the world and
Yeah.
adventure and culture. But he's always been a really big influence on me. He approaches different cultures and places with an open mind, super curious, treats people really respectfully, and he wants to understand their side of things. And what I like about his shows is he usually will sit down at a table over food and drinks that are like native to the area where he's visiting with a native person, and is asking them questions out of curiosity and respect to understand what they're like and
Yeah.
try to learn from it. And yeah, I take huge inspiration from Anthony Bourdain and the work that he did. So and a great world traveler, so for those reasons I put Anthony Bourdain as my adventure celebrity.
Love it. And yeah, I love when people go somewhere and they go for the authentic experience. They try the food, they try
Authentic.
the drinks, they meet the people, they
Yep,
understand the culture.
for sure.
You can learn so much by traveling the world. All
Yep.
right, so that wraps up our pop culture references.
Mhm.
That was a lot of fun. I think we'll
Yeah.
have more things like that in the future where we just kind of try to bridge this natural world with different kind of concepts and themes. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. As we are reaching the close to an hour mark, let's make sure that everyone likes, comments, subscribe to the channel. We are only on episode 13 and we took about a year break. So we're really trying to build this up and do something fun. Let us know what you're liking. Let us know more of what you'd like to see. We're always looking to get better and improve and have a good time here at Chasing Wild Podcast. So before we wrap up, just want to go over two more small segments. So we're talking about Wild Trek, the game that we're trying to play, going out and experiencing all of the mammals, fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds of the world. I personally have not gone out yet and photographed anything, but I've been looking around and spring is in the air, like we talked about. It's February, but it's coming. Starting to see deer, squirrels coming out, rabbits. But I'm seeing a lot of hawks and falcons up in the air. So got to
Hmm.
get my camera out. Have you started doing any photography, getting out, see anything?
Well, I did some lazy photography the other day. I
Oh,
was
it
just
counts.
hanging out in the family room, and we have a pond out in our backyard.
Mm.
And you mentioned hawks flying around. A, I think what was a sharp-shinned hawk. It's a like smaller hawk species native in this area. Was just chilling out by the side of our pond, and then went down and drank some water from the pond, and it was really cool. It's always cool to see wildlife just outside your back door like
Yep.
that. I've seen peregrine falcons pick off sparrows in our backyard, eat them on the pergola right in front of me, which is really cool. Red-tailed hawks. So anyway, I got a picture. I can send it to you if you want to put it up on the screen, because it is cool to see a hawk. It was literally 10 feet outside my window while I was
Yeah.
watching it. So I got a pretty close look at it.
That's
Um,
awesome. And if you
so
think
that's
of
a
it like
species.
if you think of
That,
it like your Trek decks, right? Like you're
yeah,
compiling this list. A hawk's a cool place to start. It's a good number
yeah.
one.
And it sort of just landed in my lap in a way because, I was just kind of hanging out. But
It put you on the
yeah,
path. It was like, hey, get started.
yeah, exactly.
Very cool.
So,
And then the last one, our music to moments segment for this week. So we're going over, let's set the scene. It is a nice spring or fall evening. You're outside alone or with people, whatever your vibe is, and you've got a nice big bonfire going. It's beautiful out, either t-shirt or sweatshirt weather. You're sitting there, stars are out, you get the bonfire going. What song are you putting on? What song are you playing?
I chose Other Side by Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Nice.
Yeah. Um, Two reasons. The vibe of the song, it's, obviously very relaxed,
Yep.
sort of kick 'em back type of song. Um, and then also, um, I have family out in California, and whenever we go out there to visit, we usually have a bonfire out in the backyard at night and just kind of hang out, listen to some music, do some karaoke, which is
Mm.
where Red Hot Chili Peppers comes in. So that's probably my cousin and I's favorite band to do karaoke from is Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Other Side is definitely one of the songs that we always roll with when we're doing karaoke out on the bonfire. So, um, yeah,
I love, dude, great song. I was
yeah,
just so the reason that this is the music to moments for the week is it was beautiful Saturday night, and Maddie and Addie were out of town with her mom and her sister. So I was alone, and I had a bonfire in the backyard, just me and Zuko, my dog, and the other side was one of the songs I put on. But
oh
my
nice,
song that I chose, same vein, "Take It Easy" by the Eagles.
oh nice, yeah,
Yeah, so I put
that's a
that
good one.
on, and it
Good
inspired
vibe.
a playlist that I've made, which the other side is on, called Bush Latte. Uh,
Yeah,
Bush Light, it's a
yeah,
good bonfire beer, but yeah,
yeah.
it's just a nice like kind of kick it back and like chill vibe. It kind of enjoy life and very bonfire-esque. So, Maddie's, she told me hers was Hotel California, the live version
I
from
thought of that
MTV.
too. I almost put
It's
Hotel
another great
California.
one. It's another great
The
one.
Eagles are a good vibe for like a bonfire.
Yeah, all good vibes for bonfire. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Good episode today. Enjoyed
Yeah,
talking about our pop culture references, a little bit about tourism. Remember to be a good tourist when you go places. Don't touch the wildlife. Don't do what you're supposed to do. Find places that are going to be eco-friendly and eco-responsible. So. Thank you for listening to this episode. Again, we are Jake Johnson, Dean Dudzik, the Chasing Wild podcast. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you enjoy your podcast. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Chasing Wild podcast. Have a good night.